Hi, and welcome to Two CPAs and the Mic, the podcast where we talk tax, finance, and all things related to business. Whether you're a business owner, working professional, or someone who wants to start a career in accounting, this is the podcast for you. Hosted by CCK Strategies partners Jeff Frable and Sarah Mays, we dive into relevant business and tax matters with working professionals to make these topics less intimidating, relatable, and dare we say fun? Let's get down to business.
Welcome to this week's episode of Two CPAs and the Mic. What's up, Maze?
What's up, Frable? Hey, so we're rolling into summer. We thought it'd be a great time to revisit some of those standout conversations and highlights from this past year.
Yeah, and honestly, these are episodes that are still incredibly relevant. Whether you missed them the first time or just need a refresher, there's a lot of good stuff here.
So we pulled together some amazing episodes, memorable moments, and insights that still feel just as fresh now.
Exactly. So if you're hearing this exchange, we're bringing back a few of those standout episodes, kind of a best of series to get you through the summer.
That's right. So if you're on the road, in the office, or trying to stay productive between vacations, hopefully this gives you something valuable and maybe even a little entertaining.
All right, let's jump into it. Here's one of our standout summer picks.
Welcome to this week's episode of Two CPAs and the Mic. I am Jeff Frable, a partner with CCK Strategies, and with me again today is my amazing co-host, Sarah Mays. What's up, Mays?
What's up, Frable? How's it going?
Going fantastic. Do we have a great episode today or what?
Yes, we had to cut our chit chat prior to recording short because it was so freaking good. So I'm super excited.
Also with us today is KP. Hey, Christy.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Sarah.
Hey.
Hey, Christy.
Well, if you have never joined us for one of our episodes before, please don't turn us off now because of the way we started this. We're just having fun. So anyway, we usually cover relevant business and tax topics, and we do it by applying straight talk, practical information, some humor. At least some might find it humorous. But the key element is we're not using all the jargon and stuffiness that's normally associated with our profession. And so we cover various topics, and you are in for a treat today. Sarah, I'd say we kind of have a fanboy on the show today.
Oh, our first.
I mean, I would love for him to say this, but apparently he has listened to all of our podcast episodes, and he is the winner of this season's Signed Tumbler.
Yes.
So we need to get that to him, but I just want to get into this because I think we're going to have a great conversation today. If you're an entrepreneurial business owner, you want to stay and learn more about financial coaching, family offices, things of this nature. If you are seasoned in the industry or just new to the industry, there's a lot you'll be able to take away from understanding how to care for clients and take care of them in their difficult times. But our guest today is Cory Hatch with Ark Financial in Austin, Texas. Hello, Cory. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really am a fanboy. Like, I love your podcast, and I'm super excited to be here with y'all.
Well, you're the first guest we've had that said, I love your podcast. And
I've listened to every one.
I listened to every one. So this is going to be a 2-hour episode, I think. So
I think it's kind of nice to hear someone else that they're a fanboy, and it's not Jeff.
Because it certainly isn't my wife. I don't get it at home. She's like, yeah, that puts me to sleep, sweetheart. I'm like, all right. So anyway, Cory, like I said, is with Ark Financial. Cory, your email signature says you are an academy director. So just fill our listeners in on who you are, kind of what you do, just at a very high level, so they know why they should be listening to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I run the academy arm of Ark Financial. So Ark Financial is a fractional family office firm. We work with hundreds of families, helping them run the business of their family. And a few years ago, one of our clients runs a large community of other entrepreneurs and came to us and said, hey, I love what you guys are doing for me. It's completely changed the trajectory of my family. You have to figure out how to do this for everyone at every level. And so that's what we've been building, is the academy version of a family office. So family office typically has somebody that's running it outside of the entrepreneurial family. What we're doing is teaching families how to be the leader of their life, how to run the business side of their family.
Okay. And we will unpack all of that in detail. But before we go there, share a little bit about who Cory is, how you got to where you are right now. What's your journey been like?
It's been a journey for sure. So I've been in personal finance, the personal finance industry for 14 years now, which is crazy how fast that's gone by.
Absolutely.
Before that, I was in commercial real estate. I was in my 20s, young, and working on a national team that we were selling gas stations for a national chain. They just every year they try to offload 10% of their locations that are underperforming. We lost that contract, and me being the newest guy on the team, they said, "Hey, we lost the contract. You can go home and don't come back." And so I went home, told my wife that I was laid off, looked at my 10-month-old son, my first, and said, "I get to spend some more time with you for the next little bit till I find something to do," which was actually pretty fun. Be a new father, have a little son. My wife had actually just got promoted. So just the stars aligned for me to be able to do that and really figure out what I wanted to do. And I had no idea. So I started applying for jobs, looking for things. I saw an advertisement on LinkedIn for a place called Fidelity Investments. Had no idea what that was, but it looked pretty professional. And I was like, maybe I should apply there. So I applied, got an interview. They offered me a job. I said, great. What is it that I'm going to do? And they said, you're going to get licensed. You're going to be a stockbroker. And you're going to help people invest. I was like, great. Stockbroker. What's stock?
So you had it all under wraps. You knew it all.
I was very prepared. And so they said, don't worry, we'll teach you that. They were great place to start a career. They paid us to study. They paid us to get licensed. So I got my 7, my 63, and my 66, my insurance license. Got all licensed up, worked my way through Fidelity for the next 7 years, and then moved over to E-Trade. E-Trade got bought by Morgan Stanley, and just thought I was doing really good work because I was working with individuals. I was helping people achieve the dream, being able to retire and do the things that they wanted to do with their life. But I got sat down once and was told I was going to get put on a performance plan because I wasn't performing the right way. And I was very confused. And the manager looked across the table and said, because as a financial professional, when you're licensed, you have a fiduciary responsibility to do what's right for the client, meaning that their needs come before mine. Mine is what's going to put money in my pocket. Their needs need to come before that. And I wholeheartedly agree with that legally and ethically. That's hard rule for me. But what he said to me is you need to change your mindset on what's right for the client. And I just couldn't sit with that.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
And I just looked at him and he said, so we can put you on a performance plan or you can start looking for another job. And I said, I'm going to start looking for another job. And his jaw hit his desk. I was like, I will not work like that. I can't ethically work like that. And so started looking for something else. This was 3.5 years ago now. And so started looking for something. I had just hired my first coach about 10 months before that, not for entrepreneurship, not for financial advice. He was a health coach. He was a fitness coach because I was 120 pounds overweight because that's what he helped me lose.
Wow.
And so went on this journey of finding myself, losing weight, and I don't know where we want to get into things, but that's kind of how I got to where I'm at now. So I left the financial industry because I just needed a break from it. I was just unhappy with how things were shaping up in that industry overall. And so I was having a conversation with that health coach and I was like, I got to do something different. I need to do something more. He's like, well, he's like, yeah, you could do 2 things. He's like, you could start your own coaching, show your before and after, right? 120 pounds lost. Every dad that sees your before and after and hears your story would sign up. I was like, okay, that's a lot of work and a lot of responsibility. He said, or come help me grow this. I want to turn this into a movement. And at the time he was coaching about 70, 75 people. I said, okay, let's look at that. Let's do it part-time and see how it goes. Started part-time. My world started colliding. And it got to the point where I couldn't operate in both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so I told my wife, I was like, what do we do? And she's like, you're going to take a chance on yourself. Now's the time to do it. So I said, okay. She said, try it for a year. And if we're broke in a year, then you go back and get another job somewhere else. And I was like, okay. So quit my job in the financial industry, went to work for an Instagram fitness coach. And we took his coaching community from about 75 people to 750 in 10 months.
Oh my.
That's
wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
That is
In how
incredible.
long? In how long?
10 months.
10 months. Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
Yeah, I was very busy, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But that's kind of I know this is like tax and finance stuff, but like the thing is like
No, it's
the
real
reason
world.
I do
No,
what
this
I
is
do
life stuff.
yeah, and it leads into why I do what I do here at Ark. And so for me, I'm a very disciplined person now. I wasn't for a very long time, obviously. If I had 120 pounds to lose, I was not very disciplined. And for me, I was very depressed. I didn't like my life where it was going. My marriage was in shambles. I wasn't the dad that I wanted to be. And so I thought my problem was the weight. And so that's why I hired a coach. I was like, I see a problem. I'm going to help. I can't figure it out on my own. I'm going to hire somebody to show me how to do it better. And so he did, showed me how to do it better. I lost the weight. And then one day I looked in the mirror, caught myself. We had a hallway in our house at the time. My wife decorated it awesome, bunch of mirrors. Caught myself out of the corner of my eye. I was like, hey, you're not the fat guy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you still hate yourself?
Wow. Yeah.
And that's when I took a really hard look in my eyes. And I just realized I was undisciplined. I was not showing up the way I should in my marriage. I was not showing up the way I should be as a dad. I was not even showing up the way I should be in business, in whatever career I was in.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, okay, I had to get past that hurdle of the weight. The weight was the effect, not the cause. And so I had to get that out of the way, and then I could really do something. And so we went through, talk about work, like losing 120 pounds, really easy comparatively to the reasons I had 120 pounds to lose.
Oh, wow.
And so marriage got to the point of talking to lawyers. And by the grace of God, we decided if we're going to burn this to the ground and start over, why not just do it with each other instead of with other people?
Yeah.
And so that's what we did.
Oh, wow.
So
wow. It about that time, did you land at Ark, or were you going through this while you were at Ark?
I was going through this before I got to Ark. So I had quit. I had left the financial industry. I was selling guys on weight loss, going through this whole journey myself, but being able to talk to men, it was a men's group focused on being a better father. It was just, we've approached being a better father through fitness and nutrition so that you can learn discipline somewhere and then apply it to everywhere else in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but being able to sit across on call like this and tell guys like, look, I lost 120 pounds. I burned my marriage to the ground to the point that we were talking to lawyers. And I decided if I'm going to be the leader of my life, I'm going to lead a life I want to live. And it was an easy sell for these guys, right? Like, they're like, I don't know what you're selling. I want that. Whatever you just said, I want that. It was an easy sell. And so as I was doing all this work, started to rebuild our life, basically just sat my wife down and said, look, I hate myself for all these reasons, and you should leave because of these reasons, because I can't stand looking at myself in the mirror, and I can't imagine you want to be married to a person like this. And my wife, who is the most amazing woman I've ever met, looked me square in the eyes. She said, I know all that, and I choose to love you still. And
I mean,
someday we'll meet. I'm 6'3". I'm 250 pounds, about 10% body fat. Like, I'm a big man, and I broke and fell to my knees.
Yeah.
So,
man, I didn't know we were going this way, and it's so good. It's so good, Cory.
Yeah,
so many nuggets to pull there.
So fast forward a few months, and I get a call from one of the guys that I'd sold into the program. He had amazing success. He's like, hey, I've got a buddy that I want you to talk to. I think he'd be great for the program. I was like, okay, cool. Pick up the phone. It's David Bull, founder of Ark Financial. It's like, hey, tell me about your fitness goals. What's going on in life? David's into CrossFit. He's already really fit. He's a believer. He's a man of God. He's got a thriving business. He's doing all the right stuff. And I was like, that's awesome. We talked a little bit. I mean, told him my whole story, what I was going through, everything. Talked for about an hour. It was supposed to be a 15-minute kind of intro call. It turned into an hour. I'm a talker. I don't know if you can tell. And so at the end of it, he's like, I really enjoyed this conversation. I'd like to talk again and tell you more about what I do. I was like, cool. I love talking. I love learning. And so we got on another call. It was supposed to be like 15, 20 minutes again, just to tell me a little bit about Ark and what family office. Because my experience with Fidelity has a family office offering. Morgan Stanley has a family office offering. So I understood the concept of a family office. And he just explained more about what he was doing. I was like, that's awesome. Let's go back to that fitness thing that I'm trying to sell you. And so after he told me everything about Ark, he's like, look, I'm not going to buy your fitness program, but I really think you should talk to our operations manager or the COO or whatever his title was. I was like, cool. I was like, maybe I'm going to sell him. So we set up a call, got on the call, and it was a guy his name's Dan. He's not here any longer. But the way I remember the conversation going is thinking that I'm going to sell him fitness, like a fitness program. And he's like, hey, David said you're ready to join the team. What do we got to do to get you down here? Because I'm in Utah. They're in Austin.
You're in Utah.
And I'm like, what? I don't remember that part of the conversation with David. But tell me more, right? Like this was like what I was looking for. And I think the fitness thing was given to me as an opportunity to really figure out who I was and what story I want to tell with my life, while Ark figured out that they needed somebody down here. And so we talked, we figured it out. We went back and forth a couple times. I didn't think it was the right choice at the first because it was moving. Like my son was just starting middle school. My youngest with my two younger ones I've got 3 kids, we were just getting in a groove where like our neighborhood was really good. Friends were great. Schools were great. Church was great. And we prayed about it and it was, no, don't go. Like, okay, easy answer. That's fine. Called him, said, I just don't feel right about it. And for the next 2 weeks, it just gnawed at me like, no, I know I told you not to go, but you really should reconsider this. And what hit me one day is I didn't even ask my kids, like if they wanted to move to Texas.
Yeah.
I didn't include them. And so my oldest was 12 at the time. He was the first one because I knew he was going to be the other 2 will follow him. Like he's a leader, like amazing kid. And so we were picking him up from a school activity or friend's house or something one night. And me and my wife were like, hey, we've got this opportunity, but we would have to move to Texas for it. And he lost it, just crying, tears. How could you do this to me? My friends, my school, everything going on. We're like, okay, cool. Glad we got the impression to ask. Like, this is a great conversation. So we go home. He storms off to his room, slams the door, and we're just downstairs talking, doing something, me and my wife. He comes down like an hour later. He's like, Dad, I'm sorry how I reacted. I was like, okay. He's like, I actually think we should go.
Wow.
I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I think it would be an amazing opportunity for you and a great adventure for our family. I think we should go. And like, talk like proud dad. And I'm like,
12-year-old.
you're 12-year-old kid.
Yes.
Like, you're more mature than I am. And at 40, like it seriously, he turned into a young man in front of my face. Like it was amazing. And so the next morning we brought it up to the other 2 and they're like, yep. Like I couldn't even finish the sentence. I was just like, there's an opportunity in Texas. And they're like, yeah, we're in, let's go. And I'm like, hey, there it is. So called Ark back and was like, hey, my answer's changed if you still have me. And they're like, yeah, get down here.
Nice.
And so we took a couple months, but we got my family down here, got hired on as a coach originally. There was another guy here that was started the process a few months before I got here. He left 3 months after I started. And so I just got here and they're like, hey, do you want to run the whole thing and just kind of take over?
Sure.
Like,
Okay.
I know what a stock is.
Yeah, I know what stock is now. Like I have an idea what family office is, but yeah, why not? Let's do this adventure that we've talked about. So that's fast forward 2 years and now we're here talking. So
it's amazing.
Well,
so
Cory,
it's a long story of how I got here, but
it was a great story.
So here's what's going through my mind, Cory. That went a totally different. I heard that you had a backstory, and you laid that out beautifully. And I was having breakfast this morning with someone I've known for several years, and we got talking, and he said, Jeff, this is the thing about you that I admire, blah, blah, blah. And what I'm learning through your comments as a result of that discussion this morning, we've talked, you've listened to all of our podcast episodes. So we are unashamed of the fact that God does line up dots, and there's a plan and all that. And I think I've come to the conclusion after listening to your story that this podcast is not for those who have everything perfect in their life and have no problems or issues. I believe we are here to tell people we're all in the same boat. If you're having problems in your marriage, you're not alone. if you're trying to balance a family with your business, you're not alone. And stop thinking that you're crazy because you feel like you're failing. And so I just appreciate and love and admire your vulnerability and sharing those things, because it's part of who you are.
Right.
And it's going to be part of what we're going to talk about as to why you do what you do and why it matters for you. And so it's a beautiful story. I really appreciate you sharing that. But I do have one question before we get into some more of the professional details.
Yeah.
They call you Ox.
Yes.
And the first time we met, you allowed me to call you Ox right away. So where does that come from and what is that?
So I wish it was a funnier story. Like in my early 20s, I worked like 2 or 3 jobs just trying to scrape money together before I was married. Like I was just trying to put some savings together, and went to a friend's house. Like it was a party going on, and I'd been up for like 3 days straight. So I fell asleep on the couch, and my friends were like, "Hey, we're going to go play volleyball." And they tried to wake me up, and I tried to swing and punch one of them.
Oh.
And I completely missed. He was like 10 feet away, like fell over asleep still, not inebriated with any substance other than sleep deprivation. Everybody always thinks like, how drunk were you? And I'm like, I wasn't. I don't drink. Like that's not even part of it. So anyway, I fall over asleep again. And he just looked at me. He's like, "You're such a dumb ox." And it stuck. Every one of my friends are like, "Yep, you're the ox. That is your name." Again, I'm 6'3". I wear cowboy boots, so I usually look 6'4", 6'5". I was 300 plus pounds for 15 years, like from my adult life. Like I'm 43 and I weigh less than I did as a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Like I was always the big guy. So it used to make a lot more sense. I'm trying to redefine it. I actually did a bodybuilding show with my wife. We both competed last fall. And so I'm trying to redefine like what ox means, what the nickname means, but that's the story behind it.
Well, I actually thought it had to do with your determination of losing the weight and all that kind of stuff. But no,
it was around a long time before that.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on turning that into something extremely positive and fun. But
yes.
Dumb ox. That's hilarious. All right. Well, so, Ox.
quick, Jeff, on your comment about like for people listening to this podcast, if this podcast were for perfect people, no one would listen. Because there's perfect people. There's no perfect marriages. There's no perfect businesses. Everyone has something going on. So all those people that you see, whether it's social media or at church or in your community that you think, man, they've got it going on, everyone struggles.
They don't.
They've got somewhere in their life, there is a struggle that they are fighting right now.
If I had my tambourine, I'd be shaking it right now.
Sarah's our a streaming tambourine shaker. So
yes.
Okay, so let's get into kind of the more professional side of Cory,
yes, absolutely.
and talk about this financial coaching. Before we kind of get into family office, let's talk about financial coaching a little bit. And I think we can all hear from you why it's important to you and what you've learned and how you've developed that passion. Just what is it and how is it different than maybe just a normal, what I would call a quote unquote normal financial advisor or a wealth manager?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great distinguishing fact from what we do. So our main objective is to help entrepreneurs understand that they need 3 things when it comes to any aspect of their life. It's leadership, it's strategy, and execution. And so we don't handle the execution. You have advisors for that. And so what a financial coach, or a typical financial advisor or wealth manager, they're the execution of a strategy. And so you have advisors as an entrepreneur, you have advisors in your life that you're hiring to execute some kind of strategy. The question is, where did you get that strategy? And who's the leader of that strategy? And how does that strategy tie into every other strategy in your life? And so if you think about like CPAs, 2 CPAs here, right? There's a tax strategy. That's not the only strategy in someone's life. Because if we only focus on tax, well, we may miss an investment opportunity, or we may not plan our estate planning correctly. And so there's strategies and there's people that will execute those strategies, but it all has to start with somebody leading all of the strategies.
So what are do you have any like common emotional signs when you start a relationship with entrepreneurs, like anxiety, being overwhelmed, those kind of things? What do you see in what I would call an ideal client that you work with? What do you see with them on the front end that shows you that they need someone like you?
Yeah, it's usually our clients usually come to us in a state of, it's a mix of anxiety, fear, and like excitement, because it's usually, I'm doing the best I've ever done. My business has more revenue than it's ever created. That has resulted in the most net income. My bank account has the most cash in it. And I'm scared that I'm going to lose it all. I'm scared that the tax bill is going to just wipe me out. And it's this place where entrepreneurs get when they've kind of hit success. I'm not going to say they arrived, but they get to this place where they can't self-educate anymore, because they're trying to learn is beyond just like basics. And so they go to YouTube, or they go to social media, or they're looking for something and they just don't know what to do next, because there's so many opinions on how to do that next thing. And a lot of times they don't even know what that next thing is.
So are you saying then that you have successful individuals that come to you that don't necessarily have a money problem, but they have, I guess there's a common misconception that if you have money, you must be good with money.
Right.
And so you kind of see the opposite of that.
Right. Because it's a lot of folks can be good at generating money and terrible at keeping it, or terrible at stewarding it, or terrible at like using it as an asset to build more. Right. Yeah. Like they're really good. Like I always joke, people, when I ask, like, well, do you know how cash comes into your family? They're like, we have a business. I'm like, it usually comes in slow and it leaves fast, right? And they're like, yes, that's it. And so how do we get it to slow down leaving the family so that it's purposeful? And so if you've got like for cash flow, like there's lots of things that we could talk about, but for cash flow, if you've got cash coming into the family, what purpose does it serve once it's in the family? Is it a charitable donation? Is it a lifestyle? Is it a future expense? Or does it have another job? Is it building more wealth? Is it being reinvested into your business? And if you don't know what the purpose of every dollar is coming into your family, then it's just like anything else. If you're not aiming at anything, you'll hit it.
Yeah. So as I was preparing for this, Cory, I was reminded of one of our guests last season was Matt Granados with Life Pulse. And he gives an example all the time of this lady who won I think it was $2 million jackpots within 2 years. And she's the only person to have ever done that was with the scratchers. Right. And by the end of year 3, she was broke. And his comment is she didn't have a money problem. She had a spending problem. Right. And it seems to me like your clients, again, don't necessarily have a money problem, but maybe they have a clarity problem. And so that's where you come in to kind of walk them through these various stages of confusion. Do you get into do you look at someone and go, you're obviously overweight. You may have an emotional problem that you're not satisfied with yourself. Let's work on that. Or they get into their marriage, or is it strictly financial?
On paper, we are a family office firm. Working with families oftentimes leads into the personal side of things. And so I routinely talk about marriage communication, right? Like there's a handful of guys and the thing is, like, people hear my story and then they ask me about weight loss. They're like, hey, I know I need to do this. Like, you obviously figured something out. And I'm like, well, I hired a coach. I didn't figure out anything, right? Like that's why I do what I do, is because I needed someone to show me how to do it better and then hold me accountable to actually doing the work. And that's like getting back to like why I do this. That's why I do this, is because part of the work that I've done is figuring out who I am and what my mission in life is. And we teach this, like one of the things that we teach folks is like clarity of vision. And so you have to get very clear on who you are, but you also have to get very clear on who your family is. And so what purpose does your family serve? And so we use a framework. There's a book called Legendary, written by Tommy Breedlove. And he uses this framework. And I think he may have borrowed it from somewhere else, but this is where I learned it. And he came in and did the workshop with us. He's given us permission to name drop him, use his stuff all the time. He's awesome. Yeah. Awesome guy. He's in Northern Georgia. But for personal vision is he says, make a list of 3 lists. It's the first one is, what are you really good at? And don't be shy and don't be like, just drop the ego. You have gifts. You've been given gifts and you need to list them all out. And then you need a list of the things you love to do. What do you love doing with your time, right? Like my gifts, I'm really good at talking. I'm really good at picking up heavy objects. I'm really good at, I'm fluent in Spanish. So like being able to translate for my wife when we're in Mexico, she loves it. Like those are skills I have, right? Mm-hmm. What do I love to do? I love riding dirt bikes. I love spending time with my family. I love dating my wife. Like Friday nights are my favorite night. I get to date my wife. Like it's the best. I love spending time with my kids. I love helping people. I have a really good ability to help people uncover work that they need to do in their life. And then I love walking with people as they do it. That's kind of my thing. And then the third list is, what does the world need more of? And so
that's
I
neat.
think, yeah, it's really, well, it can be, but like, I think the world needs more tacos. Like, it's just the fact. I love tacos. And if you have an argument with somebody, you bring tacos, that discussion goes way different. And so the world needs more tacos, but I also believe the world needs stronger families. And so if I look at that, kind of my list as I did it, and you can use, you can throw it into ChatGPT, you can use like sit down and analyze it, but you come up with a vision statement for yourself. And so I work with individuals to help them identify the work they need to do, walk with them, do it, because the world needs stronger families. And that starts with the individual. And so that's what I do. That's why I'm at Ark.
Yeah.
And so as weird, I was talking with our managing director this morning about this, as weird as it is, the reason I do all of this is so that folks can have a closer relationship with Christ. Mm-hmm. And so and like when I say like, I need you to have a better tax strategy so you can grow closer to Christ, people are like, that sentence doesn't make sense.
I love it.
But
it's stewarding your money. It is.
It's stewarding, right? Because if you don't know what your tax bill is going into tax season, that means you're guessing. That means you're thinking. And I don't want people to think. I want them to know. And that's the clarity. Like if you move from I think to I know, that's clarity. That's peace. That's stewardship. That's the leadership aspect, right? Because if you think about like what we do is we're not the execution part. Like the easiest way for me to describe what we do is as a fractional family office. Like what is a family office? Because a lot of folks we say that to, they're like, so I got to go lease a building? Like where's my family office located? What's like, and it's not, right?
Yes.
It's not a physical place. It's a state of mind. It's an operating system. It's how we run our family. It's the business of the family. And so whether you're an entrepreneur or you're an employee somewhere, it's how do you run the finance of your family? How do you run the taxes of your family, the cash flow of your family, the protection, the estate planning, all those things that we have to do as families? That's the family office. It's the business of the family. And so what we do is help with the strategies and then coach you on the leadership of how to coordinate all of the strategies in your life and then find the right advisors to execute on those strategies.
And that, to me, it almost feels like, I'm going to say, and this is where my questions coming in, Cory, is to me, that sounds, if I was 20 years ago when I had young babies and doing all those things, it wouldn't have even crossed my mind because I'm so in the thick of raising kids and going from day to day to day. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I ran my family office then, but back then I would have thought, oh, I don't have enough money to hire an attorney to get a trust in place. I don't have enough money to do X, Y, and Z. Is that where the academy comes in to, and maybe I'm jumping the gun, Jeff, but is that where the academy comes into play for, because early on you were talking about the academy was for everybody, where it wasn't just a family office, and it's really learning about how to do all these things, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we don't do the execution, but in your example, right? Like somebody has to do the execution. And that's where a lot of folks get frustrated, is because they're hiring an advisor who is going to do the execution.
Right.
But a lot of entrepreneurs think they're going to do the execution and they're going to do the strategy and they're going to do the leadership. and the advisor is just focused on the execution. So if you're young and your family office operation is relatively uncomplicated, you may be doing the execution, right? You're probably filing your own taxes using TurboTax or some other thing, but you're the one doing the execution. But you're also part of the strategy, or you're the one coming up with the strategy, and you're the one doing the leadership. It's just most folks don't realize that those three hats, you're either all wearing them or you farm them out to someone else. Mm-hmm. And so when your life gets complicated, then it's like, this is above my pay grade. I can't self-educate myself with TurboTax any longer. I need somebody to come in and do this. And so you hire your first CPA, right?
Yeah.
And so it's usually like entrepreneurs. We focus mainly with entrepreneurs. We believe that one day everyone will have a family office. My argument, everyone does. It's just whether they're operating it efficiently. And so, but if you're a business owner, at some point you're going to hire your first CPA. At some point you're going to hire your first bookkeeper. It's because you've got to the point where I don't have the time to do this. I don't have the expertise to do this. And it's cheaper to have somebody else do it than me making mistakes all the time and hiring somebody to fix it.
Right.
And so now you've hired out the execution of it. What folks get frustrated with is when they've hired the person that's going to execute something, they also assume they're going to come up with a strategy, and they assume they're going to be the one leading it, being the leader. And if you like CPAs, right? Like, it's not that your CPA can't do all three. It's just, if it's not clearly stated, they're not going to. You're hiring a CPA for execution purposes only. If you question whether they're going to do strategy or leadership, check your bill, because it's going to be a lot more than you think if they're doing leadership, strategy, and execution, because those aren't cheap services.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if you realize that, the way I try to explain it to folks is, you're the CEO, right? Like, of your business. You're also the CEO of your life. You may have a boardroom table that people sit at in your business, and you've got marketing, and you've got sales, and you've got HR, and you've got all these different departments.
Yep.
And you take all those things that make your business great. You're the leader, but you've delegated responsibility. You've delegated strategy on how each of those departments should run to someone who's in charge of it. They report up to you as the leader. And then they have either they're the ones executing the strategy, or they have people under them that execute the strategy. And so we have weekly staff meetings. We have monthly leadership meetings. We have quarterly breakouts or quarterly retreats. We have big annual planning meeting in our business. And then I look at entrepreneurs and say, does that work for your business? Is that why you're successful? Like, yes, absolutely. It's like, great. When's the last weekly meeting you had with your family? When's the last monthly planning meeting you had in your family? Have you had a quarterly breakout or a quarterly retreat with your family to talk about goals and vision? Have you ever had an annual retreat where your family sits down and says, what are we working on this year? Because most entrepreneurs put a ton of time, energy, and attention into making their business feel like a family without putting the same effort into their actual family.
Woo!
Woo!
Yes.
I'm stepping on toes now.
Yes. That's
A good coach does. I call it how I see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And with everything that I've gone through, my core mission in this life, in this world, is the world does need stronger families. 100%. And if somebody's not willing to tell them that their family's not running the way it could, then they're just going to keep floating. They're going to keep assuming everyone else is the leader, and I'm just frustrated. It's not me. I'm not the problem. Everyone else is the problem. Well, you're the leader. I always think of the Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not the leader. Like, I hired the CPA. He's the leader.
Yeah.
She's the leader.
Yeah.
I hired a bookkeeper. They're the leader. I hired an attorney. They're the leader. I don't want to lead. That's what's scary for most folks, is when they realize, oh, I'm the leader. I'm the CEO, not only of my business, but of my life. I have to make all the decisions. That's a problem.
So in this process, Cory, it sounds to me like you go through the coaching part of it. We'll call it financial coaching, but it does touch on some other things as well. But you go through this process, and then is it the family office is kind of the end result of that process, where you gather, I guess I would say, how would you define the family office? And is it a matter where you gather, I would say the executioners, but that sounds bad, but you gather those that execute the various things that you are developed the strategy for. Is that reasonable?
Yeah. The way I would say it's the system in which you operate your family. And so is it that you need to coordinate, like if you have a CPA, if you have an attorney, you've got a bookkeeper, yes, it's the coordination of all of them. Mm-hmm. But in Sarah's example, like this is something you don't need an office space for. This is something your family office operates from the kitchen table oftentimes. It's just you're sitting down intentionally making strategies and leading your family as hard as you do your business. And so, yes, it's coordinating your advisors, it's coordinating all those people that have anything to do with your family. But most importantly, it's you coordinating yourself. It's the self-discipline of running your family intentionally. And so how do we track cash flow? How do we track taxes? I don't want to guess because I'm the leader. And so if I just wait for somebody to surprise, you think about a business owner, right? If you've got a sales team, would you wait till 3 months after the year ends to ask them how sales went for the year?
Yeah.
No, you shoot yourself in the foot, your business wouldn't survive, right? But we do that with our taxes. How did I do this year? I don't know. I got to wait till March when my CPA emails me. Not to throw any CPAs in the bus. I'm talking to him.
Well, we don't do that. You know
right,
that.
No,
we don't do that.
I completely agree. And you guys are great, right? And so, but a lot of folks out there do that with their advisors. They wait until the return is signed to ask questions.
Yeah,
and
they're very reactive.
Yeah,
yes.
Very reactive. And it's taking that proactive approach in life. And the reason that I love doing what I do is because I lived that. I lived the reactive life till I was almost 40 years old. And where did it get me? It got me on the brink of divorce, on the brink of losing everything. It got me to a life that I never would have imagined for myself 20 years before that.
Yeah.
And so switching that mindset, no, I'm on offense. I am proactive. I am making choices. I'm living intentionally. And I'm holding people that I invite into my life accountable to my stand.
What would you say to, especially if anybody's listening and maybe they haven't hit a pivotal point in their life where, they feel like, oh, something's got to change, but they're feeling really inspired about what this looks like. And what would you tell somebody? Just be like, hey, or is there a trigger point or something that just says, hey, you need to just start now? I feel like that's the answer. You just got to start now.
Yeah,
and where to start? Where would you start?
Well, and it's like, I'm a fitness guy, right? Like I love fitness. And so I'll liken it to that. Do you want to wait till you're 100 pounds overweight to get in shape?
Absolutely not.
Right. And so when was the best time, like the old saying, when was the best time to plant a tree? 100 years ago. Well, when's the second best day? Today.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. When's the best time to not get overweight? Well, it was 10 years ago, but start today.
Yeah. And so where would you start?
With a family office?
Yeah. Or even just an academy or anything like that. Like,
absolutely.
Is there somewhere that you would look at? Would you look at investments first, or would you look at retirement accounts first? Where would you start?
We start is organization. How organized are you? And so we have a whole, we call them playbooks, but we have a whole organization playbook of here's how you file your files, right? Because if we're looking at risk, we're looking at organization, ease of life. So if I need to find a document, I need to be able to find it in 60 seconds. And if you really want to be organized, can your spouse find the same document in 60 seconds?
Yeah.
If you can't, then you're not organized.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. It's just getting organized. Where do we start there? It's, if I'm an entrepreneur, having an entity chart, like what do I own? How do I own it? And what's the purpose of it? So that if I'm going to get funding for a new project or a loan, or I've got to talk to my estate planning attorney, like, hey, what do you own? What needs to be in the trust? What needs to be in the documents? This is what I own and this is how I own it.
And right? what do I owe against it?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And that's the next one is a net worth statement. Right.
Yeah.
So we use if I ask entrepreneurs, hey, when's the last time you looked at your P&L? They're like, yesterday, weekly, right? Like there's a scheduled.
Or they say, what's a P&L?
Right. Or they say, do you mean my checking account?
Yes.
Yes, your checking account. How often do you check your checking account? Daily, hourly, right? And so, but then you ask them well, what's your net worth? Like, what's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so it's taking a lot of these business concepts that most business owners are really good at and just translating it over to their family. It's like, okay, if I can be really disciplined with my food, then I can be really disciplined with my communication to my wife. Or if I show up and control what I put in my mouth, I can control what comes out of my mouth. And so it's learning discipline in your life and then figuring out how to translate it to other parts of your life. And so getting organized, just knowing that you're organized relieves so much unseen stress. Having an entity chart just clears things up. Having a net worth statement, like if you are a successful entrepreneur and you've gotten past the point of worrying whether you can pay the electric bill or not, then you should have a net worth statement that you're updating monthly, quarterly at some cadence, because now if we want to make progress somewhere, we have to track it. To track it, we have to measure it. And if you're trying to create more net worth, then you need to have a scorecard. And that's what a net worth statement is. So if you're checking it monthly or quarterly, it's how did I do this year? I had a goal. Did I achieve it? What are the steps? And then you can back into things, because as soon as you have that net worth statement, you have a baseline of where you're currently at. Great. Now I can set some goals for a year from now, for 5 years from now, for 10 years from now, but I have something to base it off of.
So, Cory, I'm wondering how this plays out, because I'm just going from personal experience. I've often told my wife, if something unexpectedly happens to me, go see my partners, go see our banker, go see 2 or 3 other people. What's it like when you start? And I'm going to say this could be the wife could be the entrepreneurial spirit. The husband it could be either one. It could be both, whatever. Do you get in these situations when you start to unpack this? Because I'm assuming everything's out on the table. Do you get in situations where the spouse goes, I had no idea, or we're really doing that, or we really owe that? How do you navigate those kind of situations?
Yeah, absolutely. I've experienced both ends of the spectrum of we owe how much to who for what? And then I've had the other end where it's I'm sorry, we're worth what? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Which has been awesome. That was the one I'm thinking of. The wife was the bookkeeper in the early 60s. And I was like, so knowing that, what would you change? She's like, I don't want to be the bookkeeper anymore. I looked at him and I was like, fire your wife right now. And they both got really giddy. We can do that? You should have done it a long time ago. He's like, you don't notice. You find your replacement and you're done. And then she got to be a full-time grandma. And so it was awesome. But yeah, absolutely. You start unpacking things. And because entrepreneurs are very good at having it clear in their head, but they don't often translate that into having it documented somewhere. And they very rarely have it documented well enough to be able to repeat it. And so if we've got things in our life, like a business, like a charitable plan, an estate plan, if it's clear in your head, that's great. I'm glad it's clear. But if it's not documented, then nobody knows. If something happens to you, nobody knows. And if it's not repeatable, if you've got it documented on a notebook in your drawer, who's going to know to look there? Who knows how to repeat it? And so as we help folks build out these strategies, the leadership of it is it clear? Is it documented? Is it repeatable? And if it is, then now you're acting as a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it.
So when you get to that point and you've got everything organized and you've got your goals set and you know where you're going to go, and you have regular meetings through the year and you've hit goals, all those things, how often should you revisit your organizational documents for the family? And how often should you revisit goal? Is it once a quarter, once a year, every 5 years? What's that look like?
It really depends on what specific thing you're talking about. Because we've identified, in the academy, we have 18 playbooks that we operate off. And then with our full family office, I think there's another 40 or 50 that they can pull in. It just depends on the complexity of the family situation. But one of the kind of the things that we've built out is what we call our family office operating system. It's a mouthful. We're not good at marketing. We're good at tax and planning. But we call it the FOOS, the FOOS, the family office operating system, because it's a mouthful. But that's the schedule. And so it's, okay, we're going to review goals once a month. We're going to review cash flow once a month. We're going to update our net worth statement once a month. That's the intention. Because if you think about how often do you have a leadership meeting in your business, you should have a family office meeting on the calendar and respect that enough to hold to it. And so what I always challenge my clients to do is pick 2 hours before a meal. It could be a Friday afternoon lunch. It could be, or a Friday morning before lunch. It could be an afternoon, but do your family office meeting and then go have a meal together. Because again, I believe in stronger families. So if I can force you to date once a month, I'm going to, because I selfishly win. And so work on your family, on the business of the family, and then go date your spouse if you have one. It doesn't, if you don't have a spouse, still operate this way. Because at the meal, dream. Do the business and then go dream. Dream together if you're married. If you're individual, dream about the life you want to create because you just did the work to see, I'm actually making progress. What does that translate to?
Good. That's good. Okay. Vrabel, you had a question.
Well, yeah, I
totally
did.
stepped over you.
No, you're perfectly fine. I just wanted to kind of get back to some of the more practical things of the family office and ask Cory, who's generally involved in the family office as far as service providers? I'm sure it's not a one size fits all, but are there some common players? But then there's also, you've seen also these other providers. What's normal and what have you seen?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we onboard a client, we go through and basically just take inventory of all the advisors that they work with. And so, I mean, we're working with entrepreneurs, so they usually have a CPA, and a CPA works both on the business and on the family, right? There's two returns, at least two returns. There's usually lots. But so you got a CPA, oftentimes there's some kind of bookkeeper fulfilling that role. And so whether that's they're just in the business, they could be in the business and the family. It could be the wife, the spouse, the husband, the mother. A lot of times we see somebody's mom is doing the bookkeeping. But you've got bookkeepers, you've got controllers, you've got CFOs, and they could be fractional or full-time. You've got attorneys, usually an estate planning attorney. You've got a contract attorney. You've got a real estate attorney, litigation attorneys. Let's see. Then you've got insurance agents, personal, business, commercial. We've seen cybersecurity advisors. Depending on the size and the type of business that you run, you might need extensive cybersecurity. And I actually recommend it for any entrepreneur, for any individual. There's cybersecurity services that are relatively inexpensive for families. We live in a technology age, and if you've got children or a spouse or yourself, you're at risk. And so you should have some kind of cybersecurity protection around your family.
I would imagine the key here is not to be, if someone's listening and considering this, the key is to not be overwhelmed by, there's no way I could deal with all those people. That's on a scale from very simple to very complex, I would imagine.
Correct. Yeah. So we try to keep things as simple as possible until complexity outweighs the risk of not having it. Mm-hmm. And so and again, it's not that you need to have attorneys on retainer. You don't need to be incurring expenses. What you need is, if you have a problem, you need to be able to call someone. And so it's just having that phone number of, okay, if I get sued, I call this attorney. Mm-hmm. If I am buying a piece of real estate, I'm calling this attorney. And so it's just having a kind of a lineup of advisors that we call it the 4 C's, and I always forget one. So we're going to try it. So you need to have advisors that have connection, so they know you connect with them. You're able to have a conversation and connect with them beyond just the business side of things. You need to have an advisor who's competent, that has experience, that knows what they're doing. They have a proven track record. You need to have an advisor that knows how to communicate on your level. If I send a text, I expect a 24-hour response. If I send an email, I don't want to wait 3 weeks to hear back. And so this is my expectation of communication. Are they comfortable with that, and do they agree to that? And then the fourth one is, I always forget one. Connection, competency, communication, collaboration. That's the last one, right? Are they willing to play nice in the sandbox?
Right. Yeah.
Because if they're not, if I've got a CPA and I've got a bookkeeper and I've got a fractional controller and a fractional CFO and I've got an attorney, and they all need to be able to communicate with each other, if they're going to be the biggest ego in the room, then I don't need to work with egos. I need to work with collaborators. I want everybody to play well together, because we're all here for one reason, and it's to help support the family.
And in full disclosure, we do work quite a bit with Ark, between Ark and CCK. And that's been one of the staples of CCK since forever, about we just want to be at the table. Right. We don't care who's got the idea or who executes it or whatever, but just being at the table and providing ideas and concepts is really where it's at. And so the team is really what's most important. And so those are the kind of people you're looking for to bring into the family office, it sounds like.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Well, Christy, we're getting ready to close up here, but you've been strangely quiet, but I see you taking notes and stuff. Is there anything that you wanted to bring into the conversation before we start closing up?
You kind of covered it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I see those wheels working. I just want to make sure. So, well, Cory, as we wrap up here, got a couple questions, wrap-up questions, but what's one mistake that high earners keep making that you see?
They assume they're the only ones. They assume that, oh, I'm successful. I hang out with other successful entrepreneurs. Whatever it is, we hang out at the same gyms that are nice. We drive the same nice cars. Whatever it is, everyone's facing a struggle and they're too embarrassed or scared. I don't know what the right word is, but they don't share their struggles. And just because you have some level of success in your life does not mean that you have to do it alone. Like everyone needs help. Everyone needs community. Everyone needs somebody that they can call and say, look, I've got this going on. Can I share a scripture? Is that okay?
You bet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
My very favorite scripture is Luke 22:43. And it's a scripture that's often overlooked. A little background, if you're not familiar with Luke 22, Christ is in the garden. He is suffering. His mortal friends have failed him. They're fallen asleep outside the garden, and he is alone to do, in my opinion, the greatest act of humanity we've ever seen. And in the final moments, he asks if he has to do this. If there's any other way, let there be another way. We know there's not. He has to do the work. Only he can do the work that he's about to do. But in verse 43, it said, and there was an angel sent from heaven to strengthen him.
Mm.
So even our Savior, when he was performing the work that only he could do, had an angel strengthening him. He wasn't alone. Heaven sent help. And so when you find that you are in that position where you feel like the world is crushing you, you're going to lose everything. It doesn't matter how much you've built or what you've accomplished in life. Do not think that you're alone.
It's good.
We'll just let that marinate for a little bit there. I've never heard that, Cory, and that speaks volumes. It really, and it kind of lines up with something I wanted to say several minutes ago about the concept of coaching and just that everybody needs somebody. It's not a sign of weakness. And I think we kind of grown up that way, honestly, from the World War, the boomers and the Gen Xers that just will struggle through this, will make it work. And it's kind of our younger generations that are going, you got that wrong. You need help. And it's not a cliche. It's not what's in fashion. It's just straight out truth. And so everybody needs somebody in some area of their life. And we just happen to be talking about the financial aspects today, but it trickles down into all of it. And I'm sure you've seen it all. So I really appreciate those comments. I think we'll leave it there because that was pretty good. Cory, so as far as people reaching you, they listen to this episode and they go, man, I get it. I need something. How can they reach you? This is kind of a strange question, but it happens to us all the time. There's certain people that we can economically work with and some that we can't. Mm-hmm. But we have I get somebody and they call, so-and-so told me to call you, and I can tell that it's just not going to work that way, but I still want to care for the person. I could tell that's where you are. How can they reach you? And do you just talk to anybody to assess, or do they need to be at a certain spot financially or professionally? Or if I'm listening and I'm thinking, man, this guy really kind of has it together, I'd like to know more. How do they reach you? And what does that conversation look like? What does that process look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can email me. We just have an inbox, academy@ark, A-R-K, like the boat, arkfinancial.com. So academy@arkfinancial.com. And then if they want to call me, like my cell phone, it's 801-907-1382. Call me. I'm always happy to talk to anyone. I try to live that scripture. I try to be an angel of strength to anyone that needs it. So call me. And then if you want to work together, we range from $500 a month to $5,000 a month or higher. It depends on the level of complexity you have in your life and the level at which you want assistance with that complexity.
Makes perfect sense to me. All right. So if you're taking anything away from this episode and feel like you need to reach out to Cory, please do so. With that, we're going to wrap up. But Cory, since you've listened to all of our episodes, you know what's coming next.
Yes.
Rapid fire.
What is it, Sarah? Rapid. What did he say? Did he say it?
Rapid fire.
Oh man, we should have done it with Cory. All right. So Cory, I get the privilege and the honor of going through this with you today. So here we go. If you had a choice for a week, would it be no emails or no meetings?
No emails.
All right. Do you prefer leg day, arm day, or cardio day?
Ooh, leg day.
Are you a visions guy or a details guy? I think I know the answer to this one. Okay.
Vision.
Any tattoos?
Yes.
Okay. Any interesting tattoos?
I have 4. I have my family's cattle brand tattooed on my bicep.
Okay.
I have my family's, my 5th great grandfather had a Gothic H on his headstone. So it's got like a V in the middle. So got the family H right there. When my wife and I decided to not get divorced, I got her initials tattooed on me. So I'm hers. She has a little ox head in the exact same spot.
Cool.
Very cute little ox head. So I'm hers. She's mine. We're in for eternity.
Awesome.
And then I have a Viking rune on my shoulders, between my shoulder blades. So my heritage is Viking.
Okay.
And so there is, as I got into like the self-development, this is kind of a longer, not short story. But anyway, a lot of guys get into like Stoicism. It's like from Greek, Rome kind of thing. And I just never clicked with it. And then I found Vikings. I'm like, I'm a warrior. Like I could do this. And they have these runes that mean something. It's like the ancient Viking language. But there's a rune called Uruz that means ox. And it stands.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and then you hear the meaning behind it. And it's like, okay, it stood for power, strength, and untamed potential.
Mm.
And I was
That's
like,
cool.
I can live that creed. Power, strength, untamed potential. And so I got that tattooed on my back so that I always carry that with me.
Nice. I found this SNL skit clip a week or so ago where the wife is talking to the husband and he's just looking out into the kind of the distance. She goes, "What are you thinking of?" And then it goes into this whole rap about the Roman world. And then there's another person, "What are you thinking of?" And they go back to the Roman world. And so that's kind of what comes to mind when you were saying that.
Yeah.
Last question. What's your guilty pleasure on your Spotify playlist?
Ooh, my guilty pleasure. Andrea Bocelli.
What?
Andrea Bocelli. He is
Okay.
Italian baritone. I enjoy singing. Me and my 3 kids are in a choir here locally. And so I belt out Italian stuff in my truck when I'm driving around.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's
fun.
awesome. Yeah. And you sing with your kids too.
Yep. Yeah, we're
That's
in a choir, so it's fun.
And how old are your kids, Cory?
Boys are almost 15 and 12, and then our girl Ellie is 10.
Awesome. Yeah, those are good times. Good times.
Yes. Good ages.
Yep.
Well, Cory, you just dropped so many nugget bombs on us this week. The other thing I wanted to point out is, Christy, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the 4th podcast episode where we've talked about outsourcing things. I think Sean Copeland mentioned it. I think Keena Leva mentioned it. Lisa Riley mentioned it. And now Cory Hatch has mentioned it. So 4 very professional individuals that are providing insight and guidance to what makes things a little bit better in their world. And so I think we may need to start listening to that. So Cory, thank you for being honest. Thank you for being vulnerable with us and providing all this information. We definitely got way deeper than I thought we would, and I loved every minute of it. So thank you very much. If you're listening and you want to contact us and talk to us about anything, how we're doing, what you don't like, what you do like, and future guests, anything like that, future episode ideas, shoot us an email, podcast@cckcpa.com. That's podcast@cckcpa.com. Sarah loves emails and she's just not getting enough of them. So send them to us.
Please send them.
As always, we want to thank CCK for giving us this opportunity on this platform and to provide information and knowledge. To KP, thank you so much for all you do by keeping us on the straight and narrow. Robert Mays for our intro and outro music. Clarence Fisher with Tulsa Internet Marketing Services. Thank you for all you do. And Emily Johansson for getting all the behind the scenes work done. So thank you. It takes a team, and we appreciate each and every one of those. And again, Cory, thank you so much for joining us. And to all of our listeners, we hope you join us next time as these two CPAs get together to chat and you get to find out who's on the mic.
The information provided on this podcast is for general informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute accounting, tax, legal, or financial advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, laws and regulations change and individual circumstances vary. Always consult with a qualified CPA or professional advisor before making any financial or business decisions. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any organizations they are affiliated with. Listening to this podcast does not create a client-accountant relationship. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge and agree to those terms. And that's a wrap for this episode of Two CPAs and the Mic. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Have questions or ideas for a topic? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at podcast@cckcpa.com.